Hi, this is Davina, founder of Reawaken Your Authentic Self Academy and author of my best-selling book, Reawaken Your Authentic Self. And welcome back to video number 4. This is the final video of this series, and I'm so excited because this is kind of like the cherry on top of everything that I've taught you. So I'm so excited to start with you. Thank you so much for all the comments in my previous video. Feel free to comment below this video, like us on Facebook, but before we get started, let's give a quick recap here of what we covered before. Okay, so the last one we covered was the physical body, and remember there's 4 bodies: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. We're on the last one, which is the spiritual body. The third one was physical body. So we covered the importance of how physical body it plays an important role in how to reawaken that talent and that abundance and that energy and that passion in your life. We talked about the power of resurrecting the immortal body. We talked about the importance of juicing green veggies for extra energy. We talked also about the importance of superfood greens, eating once or twice a day at noon and at 6. We also talked about water and the importance of having 1.5 to 2 liters of water every 6 hours. And we also talked about the importance of fasting and how it reawakens the energy of your soul into your body. Okay, so this is a quick recap of what we did yesterday, and what we're going to do today is talk about the spiritual body. Okay, so this is the last one. I'm so excited because you're going to learn so much from this video. Okay, so we'll start here with number 1. Okay, so what is the spiritual body? A lot of us in this world do not realize that we do have a spiritual body and that we're anchored in these temples called our physical bodies. And it's very real. Yes, we do live after we die, believe it or not, depending on what your beliefs are. But my reality of what I've experienced, I absolutely know that we do have a spiritual body that lives beyond death. And the spiritual body, basically, for a lot of us, is slightly extended to our physical body. So we're not all in our physical bodies. A portion of our souls or our spirits are actually extended and focusing our body temples. So we're basically here to reawaken and expand more of our spiritual bodies into our physical bodies. So that is what I mean by spiritual bodies. And actually, the spiritual body is a very complex mechanism which has several bodies within that body, which I'm not going to get into. What I am going to get into is how to expand your overall spiritual body into your physical body so that you can awaken your outstanding talent, you can awaken your intuition, your energy, your passion, your guidance, divine guidance of what you're meant to do here on the planet, of how you're meant to reawaken and what is your purpose. Because the more you awaken this, the more you know your purpose in this planet. Okay, so that is the basic foundation of what is the spiritual body. Okay, so let's move on here. So the first aspect of awakening the spiritual body that I wanted to get into is something that I call spiritual body activation meditations. So this is an essential part of expanding, reawakening, and integrating your spiritual body into your physical form. Okay, this has been instrumental in my life, and I've seen it absolutely transform me, and it's been a really good chunk, a good slice of the spiritual practices that I practice in order to expand my spiritual body. you know, in my story, I remember the first time I heard about spiritual body activation meditations, I realized I started doing them, and I always was called to them, but then I heard my highest self say to me, it spoke through me. It said, Davina, you are going to become so powerful with these spiritual body meditations. I almost gasped. I was just a little bit taken aback because I received that. I received that information coming through me, and after that, I went back to this, and I started doing the meditations again and reactivating it, and there was like a new level of transformation as I kept doing these spiritual body activation meditations. So it was so exciting to add this to my life. And I also wanted to say here that I do have my own kind of formulation that I have created for my academy that you can access if you would like to continue with that. So that's the first part of what I have to offer. And also, you don't have to come through me. There's, you can Google spiritual body activation meditations. I'm sure there's other programs as well, but I just wanted to say, I don't want to brag too much, but my program is pretty badass, okay? It is one of the most advanced spiritual body activation meditations that I have ever come across and that I have formulated, okay? It's super amazing, so I think you'd like it if you'd like to check it out. If not, I understand, it's up to you. Okay, so number 3, I know we've already covered a lot about fasting on the previous video, but I wanted to say here that fasting is actually, it's actually a good chunk of this spiritual body activation. So I don't want to say that fasting is only, you know, for the physical body, because all of this, the 4 bodies are all interlinked. They're all interconnected. So that's why I'm mentioning fasting again here. But for this video, I wanted to extend a little more about fasting and what I have experienced. So what I want to say about fasting is that fasting vibrates the body at a soul level. Again, I already kind of explained this, but it vibrates it, right? Remember the metaphor yesterday? This is the physical body, and this is a spiritual body. So fasting actually, food is actually very heavy vibration, and when you stop eating, the body actually raises its vibration and starts to resonate at a higher frequency and activates and anchors more of the spiritual body, right? So the soul is vibrating super fast like this, and the body would be here, right? So when you fast at a higher rate, right, you can vibrate the body temple so that it's absolutely in alignment with the soul, right? So this is actually a very important part of spiritual practice and should be a lifestyle. Even so, you are, say you're fasting just on water for a few days, even when you're not doing just water, it's important to keep track of how much food you're intaking and how much can you increase your fasting levels. Even if it's juice or lighter foods, it's important to have a lighter food so that the body doesn't vibrate at such a low level that the spiritual body cannot anchor or keep itself in it. And what I see is most people are eating dead food, junk food, too much heavy food, overeating, and their bodies are vibrating at such a low level. It's not in fasting mode anymore. It's on death mode, basically. And the spiritual body is just kind of, I remember I got this third eye clairvoyant image of seeing my spiritual body kind of trying to grasp itself into the body, into my physical body, but not being able to do so because I wasn't fasting enough and I was eating dead food. And when I got that clairvoyant image, I realized how important this fasting is in your life. And the one other thing that I wanted to say about fasting is, remember the Jesus Christ story about how he fasted for 40 days, right, in the desert. He was guided by Spirit to fast for 40 days, Jesus Christ in the desert, and he was tempted by the devil. The devil told him to convert stone into bread and eat it, right? And when I remember that story, and what I thought, how important is this fasting thing? It's super important. It's so important that the devil would come up to intervene with this fasting. Fasting is so hard. I mean, 40 days fasting is a very hard process, but extremely rewarding, because what's happening on the subconscious, on the spiritual plane, is a big battle going on with this fasting. When you fast, your armies of the angels are fighting for you to uplift you from negative frequencies that vibrate it at the levels of quote-unquote hell. And basically, you are shooting yourself up like an eagle up into the sky to vibrate at the rate of air, basically, right? So that is so important to kind of realize the power of this and remind yourself of that story of Jesus Christ, right? So I also wanted to say here, the last thing I wanted to say about fasting is to start fasting on juices. Again, like I suggested on the previous on the previous video, I suggested doing green juices, and I also suggested to do the green superfoods. If you can start lightening up your diet and replacing the junk food with those kinds of things, you're already starting the detoxification process and the fasting process, right? So that first, and I would recommend at least 1 to 2 years doing that first, fasting on juices. And then after your body has detoxified, start doing 1-day fast or 2-day fast or 10-day fast. But to me, what I do recommend is that at least fast on Sundays, on water, on a regular basis. That's like the foundation. And that is actual scripture from Jesus Christ to recommend 1 day off, right, from the week to fast plain on water, or I started with coconut water and then I just moved on to just water. But I just wanted to say that the power of fasting is not just, you know, water and just fasting for 10 days. It's more like a long-term lifestyle type of environment. So that's what I wanted to say about fasting, okay? All right, so let's move on to number 4. So number 4 here, the next spiritual practice is entheogens. This is unbelievable. This is actually, I wouldn't be here talking to you and delivering this message to you if it weren't for entheogenic plant medicine. It was actually the entheogenic plant medicine that asked me to be a teacher to bring you all of this information to you. Okay, it's that powerful. And entheogens are basically these wise medicinal plants, excuse me, that you take, and it's done in a kind of spiritual ceremony. So you're not doing this. This is not recreational drugs. This is nothing like that. This is very serious stuff. It's spiritual medicine. It's sacred healing. It's a sacrament, and there are several out there, but the 3 main ones are called peyote, and the Native American Church is ahead of the peyote. There's ayahuasca, and there's iboga. Peyote is based on the Native American Church, and it's kind of based on a cactus, And it's done in a TP setting, and it's like about a 14-hour kind of rigorous, intense journey. And it's associated with grandfather kind of spiritual male medicine, right? And then we got ayahuasca, which is, I've been involved in the most out of the three. And ayahuasca was born in sort of Peru and by the natives in Peru, and it's done in a ceremonial setting. It's done by a shaman, and it's absolutely very intense. It's not for everybody, but it's very intense, very healing, and it actually removes a lot of negative spiritual energy and transforms you. And this has actually been a very big part of my life, and has really reawakened me to levels where any teacher, I mean, I've gone to Tony Robbins, Jack Canfield, I don't know, Brendan Burchard. I've gone to oh gosh, Esther Hicks. I've gone to you name it. I've paid for top teachers, and I have absolute respect for them, but nothing compares like God making these medicines to heal you inside of you. None of these spiritual teachers, including myself, I cannot teach you what you need at such a core level like these medicines. And you know, I can teach you the spiritual body activations and the fasting and the rest of it, but this is up to you. And I'm not here to suggest any of these medicines. These medicines teach you, and I know that I'm here to introduce these medicines because they're calling for you. And whatever your heart is calling for you here, go for it. I'm not here to suggest this one over this one or this one over this one, because they all are different, and they're all for different people. And also I want to say, none of these might be for you either. You might not be even called to do them. So I'm just here presenting what I have done, and leave it up to you. Okay, so this is the last one, which is an African plant medicine called iboga. And this one actually I only recommend to people with addictions, cocaine, drug addictions, that don't have a life anymore, that are kind of in the streets with no life and no hope. And I really recommend this. If you don't have addictions, I wouldn't do it. It's very intense. It's a 10-day kind of healing. It's 10 days. It's a lot. And so if you don't have any of that crisis, I would recommend to check these out. And the last thing that I want to say about entheogenic medicine is that you need to do your research, okay? Go out and buy this book called, what's the name? Breaking Open the Head by, gosh, what's his name? Well, we'll just Google Breaking Open the Head. There's only one book called like that. Okay, so I'm sure it's on Amazon. You can order it. Order that book, read it, okay? It's absolutely essential. So that's what I want to say about that. And remember, it's okay if you don't want to do this. And also, I wanted to say, please check where you live. They're legal in certain states in the United States, and they're illegal in other countries. So please respect the laws of where you're living. Some people go overseas to Peru, which is legal to do this ayahuasca, and make sure you check out the shamans that conduct these events, and make sure they have a good reputation and they're reputable and able to facilitate great events. Okay, so that's all I have to say about this. Okay, so let's move on to number 5. Okay, so this is the final part of this video, which is what needs work in your life. And I wanted to leave you with that question because I want you to really improve your life here. Everything that I gave you is for you to check, have a checklist and say, okay, do I really need this in this moment? And how can I apply what Davina taught me in this video? Okay, and then just go over and take take good notice of where it is that you're missing expansion in your life and say, you know what? I need this area in my life improving so I can expand, so I can be more abundant and more awakened. So go back to these videos. These videos are for you. I made this for you so you can go over and review more of it, okay? And so that's what I wanted to share. These are the key gems of the spiritual body. I go in more extensively in my academy, but for this video, this is what I wanted to share. And so I'm so excited that you have gone through the 4 videos. Woohoo! So I just wanted to say thank you very much. If you have any questions of videos, please comment below, like us on Facebook. And I also wanted to say as well that my academy is now open, so please check for the next video. If you really loved all the information that I gave to you here and you want to go like do the deep dive and the deep transformation and really let me take you by the hand and do this, man, let's do this. Let's rock and roll. Look forward to that video. And until then, live the courage to reawaken your authentic self.